Dillon is looking at the camera.
It took me becoming blind to see how bright my future is.
A blue and orange graphic with the word Foresight appears and includes a faint image of the word vision and the Alpha Point logo. Cameron is looking at the camera.
I'm Cameron Black, and this is Foresight, an Alpha Point series that shows what it's like to live and thrive with vision loss. Today, we will be talking with Dillon Tarn, a young man who had the trajectory of his life permanently altered after getting shot.
Dillon and Cameron are walking in a gravel road at adventure camp. Then Dillon fires an arrow at a target. Now Dillon and Cameron are on camera.
Okay, well, first of all, Dillon, thank you so much for joining me on Foresight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No, man, it's awesome to have you here. So if you could kind of fill me in, first of all, what is your visual acuity? Like, how much can you see?
I have absolutely no vision, no light perception or anything. It's total blindness.
Okay, so let's rewind and go back to kind of your past growing up, what your childhood and your teenage years were like. I understand that you went blind when you were 16.
Yes, sir. I did.
Okay, could you kind of tell me the story of what happened leading up to that?
Yeah, so growing up, I grew up in a small town called Abilene, Kansas, and
There are two childhood photos of Dillon. Then Dillon is on camera.
I mean, kind of had your basic childhood growing up in a small town farm area where, you know, we did the fun hunting, fishing, four-wheelers, dirt bikes, all the good stuff. And I grew up with my one older brother who's 3 years older than me, Jason, and, you know, a bunch of our good small town friends, you know. And
There are photos of Dillon playing football and baseball. Then Dillon is on camera.
huge sports guy, football all the way growing up, ever since about third grade, I'd say. Baseball as soon as I could hit off the tee. And played a little bit of basketball, but that was never really my go-to. But baseball and football were my main ones, and then I played that all the way up as long as I could have my sight.
Dillon and Cameron are standing and talking to each other. Then Dillon is on camera.
I'd say middle school is kind of honestly where I kind of started slipping a little bit, was kind of not following really the wrong crowd per se, but just had started getting low self-esteem and just kind of really struggling with my self-image and just who I was and kind of where I fit in life, not knowing what I was going to do, where I was going to go and stuff like that. And so that's kind of later middle school. So once I got to high school, kind of freshman, sophomore years is really when it spiraled and started kind of hanging wrong crowd and doing things I shouldn't be doing and having, you know, just partying, just honestly really low in life with depression and just not sure where I was going to be going in life whatsoever.
Cameron is looking at the camera.
While Dillon doesn't remember the event, his life was forever altered in a single faithful moment.
Dillon is on camera.
Then on May 7th of 2017 is when my life took a 180-degree turn after I was in my room at my mom's house and ended up taking a bullet right between the eyes from a 9mm. And I don't really remember anything from that day just due to the trauma from it. But what I can tell you is what I've been told. So took the bullet and then I was ambulanced, rushed to the hospital in my hometown where I was just essentially kept alive there until I could be life flighted to Wesley Medical Center down in Wichita. And then Wichita had me for a little while, but they didn't feel comfortable doing some of the surgeries. So then they ambulanced me from Wesley up to the KU Med Center up in Kansas City, to where they said they were very comfortable with doing it, and so underwent multiple surgeries there and had to do some facial reconstruction and different things like that with a metal plate on my cheekbone, the removal of my left eye, which is now a prosthetic, and my right eye having the optic nerve completely severed and leaving me fully blind.
Cameron is looking at the camera.
What struck me, and likely most others, was not the tragedy itself, but Dillon's remarkable response to it.
Dillon is on camera.
A lot of people view it as a bad thing, and yeah, I can agree, say, you know, it's a tragedy and it was a horrible thing that happened, but at the same time, that was the realization for me to get my life on track, and that's kind of where I've always believed in God and never really followed him, but that was kind of my wake-up call where, you know, God's got a mission for me, and He's keeping me here for a reason. It's just, I mean, it's incredible how much it's opened my life up to different opportunities, different people, and just different things to do in life, and showed me how much bigger the world truly is.
Cameron is on camera.
Now, something I noticed in telling of your story just now is you talk about how right before the gunshot accident, you were spiraling into depression.
Definitely.
What I find interesting about your story, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that for a lot of people, if they had had something that traumatic happen to them, it might have caused them to go into depression.
Absolutely.
You, it sounds like it actually helped you.
Dillon is on camera.
You know, like honestly, before that happened, I mean, I was shy. I just had my close friends I kept in touch with. Other than that, I was just a shy kid who wouldn't talk to anybody in class, just stuck to myself, headphones in, and just really was isolating myself, honestly, if you want to put a label on it. And like I said, after that made me realize life's short. You know, every breath's a gift, you know, and so just being able to be here, make a difference in whatever way I can is just having that opportunity, you know. And another thing I say is, you know, if you can't change the past, there's no sense on dwelling on it. You just got to accept what's happened and move on and make your future better.
Cameron is on camera.
Did it hurt, though, knowing that emotionally you would recover, but physically you weren't going to get well?
Dillon is on camera.
That's one of those things that actually pretty early on I came to terms with pretty quickly, that I would much rather lose this and gain my life. You know, I was going to lose my life at some point with the path I was going down. Like I told you in the article you did, is just, I mean, I probably would have been face down in a gutter somewhere because I was just in a bad way, whereas this honestly gave me life and gave me hope to keep going. And yeah, like I said, I still have moments where like it sucks not having sight, whether it's just getting mad while trying to find something, or, you know, complaining about transportation, which is another thing all within itself, you know, having the ability to drive taken away from me. And so, but honestly, I think it's honestly been a blessing. It's been in a weird way a blessing, and just knowing how many people are there for me and just how many opportunities, because I was a small town, closed mind type of person, whereas now I'm really open to exploring the world.
Cameron is on camera.
So what are your future plans? What's next?
Dillon is on camera.
So right now I'm just finished getting my Associates in General Studies from Johnson County Community College. I'm now getting my Associates of Arts with a focus in elementary education. I'm definitely still planning on staying in touch with Alpha Point and doing the Kids in the Kitchen program. Just last night actually we're talking about getting me involved with helping out with the daily living skills with the Alpha Point clients, and doing some of the adult stuff and doing some cooking lessons with them. And in the future, there's a place in Overland Park called the Culinary Center of Kansas City, and that's a place that does community-based cooking classes. And I'm in the future wanting to get in touch with them, and, you know, maybe start with helping some of the chefs out there. Maybe they got a little store where you can sell stuff, so maybe even selling some of my stuff, to eventually hoping teaching my own class there as well.
Cameron is looking at the camera.
I wondered if Dillon would change his circumstances, or even undo what happened to him that day.
Dillon is on camera.
Honestly, I tell people no. Like I said, I'd end up in a gutter somewhere, and I was going nowhere but down with that hole where I was at. And like I said, it's a tragedy that turned into a triumph.
Dillon and Cameron are walking on a gravel road at adventure camp. Then Cameron is looking at the camera.
Dillon and I also talked about people who are confronting vision loss as adults. When I asked him if he had any advice for them, he had this to say.
Dillon is on camera.
Honestly, kind of like I said before with my situation is, you know, you can't change the past. You know, you can figure out what's going on where you're at in life now, see where you want your future to go, and just run like absolute heck towards it. You know, just being able to grab a hold of your life and know where it's going. You know, we live in a day and age where it's not the easiest, but it's not the most difficult, you know, being visually impaired or blind, you know, with all the different technology they've got. And there's still so much you can do, and there's so much you will do being visually impaired in the world today.
David and Cameron are on camera.
On the next episode of Foresight, we will be talking with David Albright, who had a 36-year-long career with Hallmark as a photographer and videographer until at age 60, when he lost his sight.
Alpha Point, shining a light into the dark.
There are 3 photos of Dillon, 2 from his childhood and 1 taken recently near a stream.
They teach those without sight that life still has vision with or without light. The work and training are combined of the two.
A blue and orange graphic with the word Foresight appears and includes a faint image of the word vision and the Alpha Point logo. Cameron is looking at the camera.
If you are experiencing vision loss, or you would like to learn more about Alpha Point, its services, and how you can contribute to those experiencing vision loss, visit alphapointe.org. ALPHAPOINTE.org.